Hey guys, sup, welcome to Coffee Time. Typically we do this on Mondays, but guess what? Because of this new beautiful laptop that's next to me, the whole thing everything had to just take a step back for the channel. So everything's pretty much getting back on schedule little by little, so I apologize for that. Now the reason there's a mat up here, I know someone's going to wonder about that, is because we're not typically on the location that we typically are, so I'm just working at what I can. So today's coffee time is a very simple coffee time. Images will pop up. Should Konami get rid of archetypes? Now, if you don't know what an archetype is, I know most of you will, so you could skip this like 30-second intro into this. Let's talk a difference between an archetype and a generic. A generic card is like, say, Wind Up Zen Mains, where every deck can use it, everything. See, I zoom in a lot of the time. Zen Mains, well, typically Zen Mains is generic, but it's a wind up, okay? So it can also be fallen under the archetype clause. Filigrane here is not an archetype card, so we're going to use Zen Mains as an archetype card. I kind of messed up because, well, let's see what time it is. It is 1:14 a.m. New York City time, which is just, it's nuts. I don't know why I filmed so late. I like it. It's like early morning and it's just wonderful. But archetypes are like Zen Mains. They're wind-ups, GBs, Light Sworn, Geargia, and then generic cards like Felgran or DD Warrior Lady or I don't know, Threatening Roar. Things of those sorts that don't really go with a typical, little story and a basis of it. Should Konami get rid of these cards and go back to the more generic stuff that we had in 2004 and 2005. And the reason I bring this up is because of Dragon Rulers and Wind-Ups and even Chaos Dragons, as much as I love them, and the sackiness that is Lightsworn, and decks like Heroes that could constantly top and not really care what you do to them banlist wise. Is it healthy for the game to sit here and say, well, archetypes are okay, you know what, we're just going to keep spamming out archetypes? Or should Konami just go into a 90% freaking, thing that just says, we're just going to do archetypes 10% and then 90% generic? I mean, I want to hear your standpoint on it, why I discuss the pros and cons of everything. The cons of the archetypes are that we're kind of just stuck in this, well, it's, let's just put these things together and build a deck, and it becomes really simple to look at that support and say, what can that support use to build upon? Well, when something's generic, it's not as cookie cutter, so you don't have like this little mold that sits there and go, oh, this is how I put this and that together. No, it becomes something that's a little more to a creative deck builder. So, say, for example, like if you were to build a Hungry Hamburger deck, I've done it before, trust me, it's hilarious. You don't have all the answers right there in front of you. The only answers you really have is that it's probably going to be a ritual deck. Everything else is like, it's not color by numbers. That's the kind of phrase I'm trying to say here, because I was watching my son a few hours ago, like, play with crayons and stuff, so I got that reference from that. But, to me, it's, I started playing when the game came out, so to me, I'm a little more biased on, I like my generic cards like Blackluster Soldier and Chaos Emperor Dragon, which you can kind of say now that they're Chaos. Back when they came out, they really weren't. They were just, I splash a light in a dark in the deck and look at me go. I mean, things like Effect Veiler, they're very generic cards that can be used across the board, and then the price could skyrocket. Noble Swarm, no, not Noble Swarm, Evil Swarm is actually part of an archetype. But it's an archetype generic card, so it's kind of a hybrid to sit here and say, well, it's one side or the other. I'm not saying they should do completely against it. I'm just, talking the cons. The cons are, like, a lot of these meta decks are all just straight, archetypes. I'm not directly calling Harpies a meta deck for people who don't feel that their Harpies are a thing. They're a great deck, don't get me wrong. I'm just making a standpoint here. When it comes to the monsters, let's look back a few years. We had Teledad, which was pretty much cookie cutter generic, which when I say those words are, okay, we take A and we take B and when we put them in the oven they make C, and C is broken. So it's not really the archetype's fault. I mean, the pros are we can get some really cool archetypes that do, you know, everything. They click together really well, like wind-ups, they switch positions, and then you get all this like hand loop stuff. But then you get things like Infernities that take 20 minutes to freaking make a move. And trust me, I know, I play Infernities, and I feel bad against anyone that has to go up against me, because I feel terrible when I take all that time. And especially stuff like Light Swarm, where it's just like mill, which is a cool conception, but when you get down to it, it kind of poisons the game after a while, because, well, it gets more support when it didn't really need it. Not to sound that way, but it kind of really didn't. But, you know, my standpoint is that's the cons. When you look at the pros are really kind of hard to find when you think about it. I mean, they gave us some of the greatest things that, you know, well, at least for me, let me say what I at least, you know, enjoy Archetype. I mean, Cyber Dragons are coming out right now, and they're pretty freaking cool. I mean, it's just like Fusion deck. I look at them like heroes. I'm a little stuttering because I'm kind of getting lost in my mind, like trying to word everything properly. But when it comes down to the pros of it, Gladiator Beasts are the greatest example of an archetype. I don't feel that they're overpowered. At the time when it came out, it was like, oh my god, that guy's ever spam, or that Herculino is spam. But as the game evolved, they became the definition, and they've always been the definition of what a perfect archetype when it comes to how each card clicks together. Even if you don't choose, or it's bad for the deck to run it, they could still get away with running it because everything clicks so wonderful together. And you could just use generic cards with it, and it's just so good. I mean, GBs are still a good deck. It's just like, oh my god, they get new support. And then you get stuff like Scrabs, where it's just like pop. Like, GBs are tag. And like Light Sworns are mill. And Six Samurais are spam, sink, spam, Nat Beasts, Sheehan, and Infernities are, well, I think everyone knows how Infernities are. If you're new to the game, it's just like, set my whole hand down, special Archfiend, search deck, set barrier, and go nuts. And then like explode all over you and you can't play the game. But then you have a deck like Gravekeepers, which is an archetype, very old archetype at that, and it's just like simple set or normal summon every turn. So each archetype has its own kind of thing, and I think that's pretty cool. It gives the game a freshness to it, and that's a pro right there. You know, it keeps the game fresh, and you're not going to get bored of the same old thing because there's like 20 freaking archetypes to go with. But at the same time, sometimes when Konami wants to make an archetype good, they go overboard, and it becomes too good, which we've seen multiple times. And then you have an archetype that is like borderline, like ready to snap and ready to take off, but it's just not there yet because they don't have every piece of the puzzle. And when I say that, I'm definitely going to say Noble Knights. But then you get stuff like Ghost Tricks. Ghost Tricks are really, like, I don't know for you guys, for me, they really take forever to play, and you're probably sitting there for 30-40 minutes to an hour for game 1 of 3. And to me, that's fun because, you know, it gets back to that core of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where it's like, I summon Hutatsumi Giant, and I summon Gemini Elf, and then I attack, and then I summon a Gemini Elf and play Axe of Despair to get over your monster. So I have field advantage, but I lost the hand advantage. I mean, it's just things like that. I like it. You know, back in the day, that's what got me started on this game. I don't know for you guys, what got you started into this game. It should be this way. I don't know what got you, you know, into this game. I'm glad each one of you are into the game because, well, look how the game has evolved. Now we have YugiTube, and we have the Facebook groups and the forums, and we have, you know, the events are huge. It's anything, and we're breaking records and stuff. I think it's all cool, you know. And then we have like guys that do Yu-Gi-Oh! Parody music, and guys who do Yu-Gi-Oh! Music, and guys who just like do live action. I think it's all cool to me because when I first looked at the card game, I never looked at it that way, and that's why this video was so special to me. And I was just gonna leave it for Monday. And I said, no, I want to do it. I'm exhausted. I'm sick. I just want to go to bed. No, I'm gonna do this video because I have so much passion when it comes to doing this. I mean, that's probably gonna be the next coffee time. What got you into Yu-Gi-Oh! And then we could trade stories or something. I don't know. I feel it'd be a really cool video. I want to know about you guys. But let me know in the comments your pros and your cons. This is how I keep my key points of remembering everything because it's late at night and you got that fever going on in your head. So let me know your pros, your cons to the archetypes, your pros and cons to generic, and what you prefer. You prefer more generic cards, or do you prefer more, you know, archetype cards? Do you have a favorite archetype? Leave it in the comments below. I love hearing it. I love responding to it. That's just how I am. And, you know, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Council is one creative network. That's what we've always been trying to do to bring to YouTube. And yeah, Shao, you're in the video. Kudos to the cat that just meowed. It wouldn't be a coffee time without it. But anyway, I will see you next video. I'm ready for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Council. If you like what we saw, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave a comment, and I will